Good afternoon, it's 4 o'clock. I'm Arlene Diholou.
And I'm Seranne Daou. Coming up on today's show,
A Nottingham graduate warns of the dangers of Guillain-Barré syndrome.
the UK looks to Norway for new effective ways to recycle.
And Nottingham is getting ready for its first ever puppet festival.
A Nottingham graduate has warned of the dangers of a rare syndrome after become paralysed for a short period of time. Our reporter Matt Lynch has more.
Walking, talking and eating is something many people may take for granted, but it's not always the case for some people, like 21-year-old Nottingham graduate Josh Wing, who was diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome. GBS is rare in the UK, with only 1 in 100,000 people being diagnosed with the syndrome, but it can have major effects, including paralysis. Josh is lucky to have been treated early.
GBS basically just gets progressively worse before it gets anywhere near better. So within that 24 hours from deciding that I want to be put into a hospital ward and getting diagnosed, during that time I went from not being able to walk at all to just not being able to move at all.
The recovery process can often be a long path, which involves strength building and getting used to the basics of life again. Not everyone is as quick in recovery as Josh has been, with some effects life-changing.
About 80% of people go on to make a really good recovery. Unfortunately, though, there is a death rate attached to this, and maybe 5 to 8% of people just will die as a result of having had it.
There are many triggers for Guillain-Barré syndrome, and Josh is keen to raise awareness about how life-changing it can be for people.
It's not like a common flu or something like that where you can pinpoint straight away when you've got the flu. It was one of those things that was last on the list that they would look at. And the longer, like I said, the longer you leave it, the worse it will get. So make sure you be persistent with the doctors. If you feel like you've got symptoms similar to GBS.
The symptoms are wide-ranging, but can often start with what many may feel is the normal winter bug or flu. It often starts on your toes and hands before moving up your body.
It's a bit like if you think of something wrapped around, I don't know, something wrapped around a pencil, and then it gets little breaks in it. That's basically what your immune system does to your peripheral nerve.
Nobody really knows a cure for GBS, but Josh is just thankful to have made a quick recovery, unlike some. Matt Lynch, CBJ News.
With more businesses in the city centre set to close, what does the future hold for small businesses here in Nottingham?
Our reporter Lauren Clemson is here in the studio to tell us more.
So Lauren, what's going on in terms of small businesses in Nottingham?
OK, so in the last 2 days, 3 small businesses in the city centre have closed down, unfortunately. So the latest is Filthy's Bar on Weekday Cross, which actually was put up for rent just yesterday. So it's been 5 months since the bar was rebranded from Gypsy Lounge to Filthy's, but we're not sure quite yet why it's closed down. Now, Nottingham has been named as one of the top cities in England for small business growth. And earlier I spoke to David Smith, who is a professor at Nottingham Business School, and he said that although small businesses are closing down, the future still looks bright.
We'll see setbacks from time to time, but I think they will be and will continue to be a major factor attracting people into the city, whether that's coming in for shopping or whether it's actually for students wanting to stay and study here. I think it will continue to make Nottingham an attractive place.
Perfect.
So is it just bars we've seen closing down?
Well, no, not exactly. So I was around Nottingham today exploring, and I found that bars, restaurants and cafes have been closing down. So on Upper Parliament Street, there's been 2 closed down back to back. And one of those is Peachy Keen's, which is the largest restaurant in the city with 500 seats. They've both closed down in December. So unfortunately, many more empty spaces are freeing up on our high streets.
Why do you think that is, Lauren?
OK, so with the rise of online shopping and apps like Deliveroo and Just Eat and things like that, it appears that small businesses can't really keep up with the technology that is changing today. However, I've spoken to experts like David, and Nottingham's High Street and its small businesses make the city what it is, so we'll have to wait and see their fate.
Thank you very much.
With prostate cancer becoming the 3rd most common cause of cancerous deaths in the UK, having more information could stop the rise.
Prostate cancer will affect 1 in 8 men in the UK. CBJ's Ryan Johnston investigates what we can do.
Cancer holds a lot of fear for most people, but if you catch it and get treatment early on in the illness, the chance of recovery is much higher. This makes knowing the warning signs of prostate cancer all the more important.
So you can see problems with men struggling to go to the toilet, so a bit of hesitancy starting, or we get to the end of our flow and there's a bit of dribbling for a while rather than just finishing like we would when we were young, or we have problems with a weak flow compared to what we used to have. If you have these symptoms with weight loss or back pain or blood in your urine, then it's important you go and see your doctor really, really quickly.
As well as medical treatment, support and information during the process for patients and their families is massively important. According to the Nottingham Prostate Cancer Support Group, speaking about your own journey can remove many fears.
The message I'd like to get across is that prostate cancer doesn't always have symptoms. I had no symptoms at all, as I told you, and that's mirrored in about 45-50% of cases. A man will traditionally be with a female partner. Not always, but traditionally will be with a female partner. She has got no knowledge of prostate cancer. She can't empathise with him in any way, but the other guys in the group can empathise. And we know that at the end of the day, you're here to, if you've had the prostate removed or any treatment which has sorted the cancer out, you're here to talk about it. Not being here to talk about it is the other option, and that's not pleasant.
More knowledge and awareness of this disease will hopefully help to bring these figures down. Ryan Johnston for CBJ News.
With our plastic waste reaching the Arctic, our environmental correspondent Harry Cobble takes a look at a European alternative to recycling and the effects it could have on Nottingham's landscape.
In the UK, figures show that currently only around half of all plastic bottles get recycled. Norway claims to offer the most cost-effective way of tackling plastic litter. It works like this. The consumer pays a deposit on every bottle, the equivalent of 10p to 25p, depending on size. They return it empty and post it into a machine which reads the barcode and produces a coupon for the deposit. Nottingham City Councillor David Liversidge, portfolio holder for energy and sustainability, thinks the Norwegian model could help the UK recycle more efficiently.
The problem with resident recycling is that you get a lot of contamination in the bins, so the councils have to do a lot of work to actually stop that contamination and eke out that stuff that's not right for recycling. If you could get plastic bottles out of the system, that will help a lot.
The Green Party of Nottingham agree that this new method of recycling could benefit Nottingham and its environmental footprint.
It is a good initiative. It works in Norway, but we've got to remember that not every country is equal. Norway has a relative poverty rate of 10%, whilst within the UK there's a relative poverty rate of 22%. So 1 in 5 people live in relative poverty, so they might not be able to afford 10 to 25p on top of a plastic bottle. Whilst it's a good idea to be rewarding recycling, Nottingham Green Party would rather see people refusing to buy plastic bottles or bottled water and in fact carry around with them a reusable, refillable bottle of water.
The UK are looking for new recycling policies as the UK's recycling industry says it doesn't know how to cope with a ban on Chinese imports of plastic waste. Britain has been shipping up to 500,000 tonnes of plastic waste to China per year, but now the trade has been stopped.
If it was adopted by the government, it would work. We would see an increase in recycling as it being rewarded, but we want to actually be encouraging people to recycle, not because of reward, but because it's the right thing to be doing.
So if the UK government adopt this Norwegian recycling initiative, we could see recycling in a completely different way, which means the next time you recycle a beer bottle, you could be saving the world. Harry Cobbold for CBJ News.
A special exhibition featuring only women artists is taking place in Nottingham Castle Museum.
It's part of the city's celebration marking 100 years since women had the vote. Lan Juan reports.
The theme of this exhibition is Women in Collections. The aim is to demonstrate equality and diversity in what can be male-dominant art galleries.
Women in Collections is an exhibition of work from the fine and decorative art collections at Nottingham City Museum and Galleries. We've got a piece just here, which is a cactus by an artist called Evelyn Gibbs. She was very prominent within Nottingham. She helped to found what is now called the Midland Group of Artists. She came over to Nottingham from London during World War II with her students from Goldsmiths.
It's 100 years since women were allowed to vote for the first time.
Well, we thought it was important to put together an exhibition in some way marking Vote 100, so the centenary of the vote for some women within Britain. We also wanted to look at our collections in more depth, and with the idea of women in collections is that, as I mentioned, we have only a small proportion of work by women in our collection. Of around 11,000 works, we have only 500 by women artists. So we wanted to put something together that also had a theme to it. We didn't just want to make it a token exhibition. So we were looking at women artists who responded to aspects of their environment, be that physical or cultural.
The exhibition has attracted lots of visitors who are interested in women artists. Carol Henwood says it goes a little way toward ending discrimination.
So I'm all for women's rights and strong women and strong leadership and young women coming up through the ranks. I think it's wonderful. I'll keep fighting to help change it. I do what I can and have done for 40 odd years to question people on ideas, challenge people when they say things.
The show will be open until the end of March. Lan Juan for CBJ News.
Video games could cause severe personality defects and add to stress, according to a new study. Researchers at Nottingham Trent University have examined over a decade of data which shows many game sufferers suffer from anxiety, depression and struggle to form basic relationships. The study is thought to be the first in the world to link gaming to health problems. However, some gamers believe the study's findings are exaggerated.
I don't think it's a bad thing that more people are doing them, because as technology has progressed, they've got better and better, and no reason why you shouldn't play them. I think they're fine as long as, you know, it's like a diet in moderation.
If you're a fan of Captain Scarlet, Pinocchio or Sooty and Sweep, then the new festival coming to Nottingham may be the place for you. CBJ's Harry Arkless has the story.
I'm not a puppet, I'm a real boy!
Nottingham's first ever puppet festival is getting ready to entertain the city. Taking place in March, the event will be hoping to showcase the art of puppetry to all. From workshops and puppet making to pop-up villages and a cardboard carnival, there's even a Q&A with the Son of Thunderbirds creator Jerry Anderson. Producer Sean Myatt says there'll be something for everyone.
The Nottingham Puppet Festival is a great event which is happening in Nottingham and all over the city. It's happening in March 2018 over a period of 3 days, and it'll be looking at taking puppetry and making people sort of see puppetry in all aspects of the city for all levels of people, young and old.
He also told me more about the events that are happening.
And there are performances which are paying performances. We have Warhorse, which is obviously at the Theatre Royal and Concert Hall, and we have street shows, we have tiny little shows going to tiny little venues like Five Leaves bookshops, and hopefully just that the city will take on board puppetry and will be touched by its magic.
The puppets themselves are incredibly detailed. Some of them can take weeks to complete and involve big groups of people in order to create them. I headed down to rehearsals at Nottingham Trent University, where some of the students are getting involved too.
It was an art form I didn't understand until I took part in it, and now I understand it and it's great, and it's a way of expressing something and being on stage without actually being there and having the focus on something else.
Whether you're an experienced puppeteer or a dummy looking to get involved more in the art form, there's lots to do. Starting on March 22nd and running until the 25th, the debut Nottingham Puppet Festival will be a happy time for all, with no strings attached. Harry Arkless for CBJ News.
And now for today's sport update, our correspondent Luke, by the way, has more.
Nottingham Forest are set to sign goalkeeper Stefanos Capino on a free transfer. The 23-year-old Greece international is in Nottingham and is set to have a medical ahead of the planned deal. Capino previously played at Olympiakos but hasn't played since September. This potential signing comes a few days after the Reds signed former Wigan Athletic midfielder Ben Watson. Forest will be facing a visit from Hull City on Saturday. The Tigers knocked the Reds out of the FA Cup a few weeks ago, so Aitor Karanka and his men will be hoping to bounce back. As for Notts County, they travel to Barnet and a win could see them get back into the automatic promotion places. To the ice hockey now, and the Nottingham Panthers are out of the Challenge Cup. They crashed out of the competition at the semi-final stage after losing 12-7 on aggregate to the Belfast Giants. They will now turn their focus back to the Elite Ice Hockey League as they prepare to face the Sheffield Steelers on Saturday. And finally, the 2018 Winter Olympics officially gets underway tomorrow. The Games will take place in Pyongyang and the short track speed racing will be one of the Team GB's main hopes of winning a medal. 500-metre world record holder Elise Christie will be hoping to win her first Olympic medal after being disqualified in 2014, and Nottingham's own Josh Cheetham will be competing in the men's 1,000 metres. That's all of the sport today. Back to you guys.
And now time for our weather report with Ryan Clancy.
Thanks guys, hello and good afternoon. There will be more light showers for the rest of the evening, with southwesterly winds sweeping the sprays across the East Midlands. Temperatures will remain a mild 6 degrees Celsius for the remainder of the evening, but overnight it will drop to near minus, so expect some frost in the morning. Tomorrow morning we'll see more of the same, but we can finally expect some sunshine with highs of only 4 degrees in the afternoon. On Saturday, temperatures will be warmer with heights of 8 degrees, but I wouldn't get too excited as heavy showers are forecasted. Now on to our Star Watch. I'll definitely be getting my telescope out tonight as there are some great stars to see from our doorstep. If you look at 9 PM tonight, you'll see a wonderful view of the Capella AB, known as the Goat Star, which is actually the brightest star in the constellation Auriga. Looking slightly more to the west, we can find the Aldebaran, which is an orange giant star from the zodiac constellation of Taurus. Now, sorry guys, but that's all for tonight's Star Watch. I hope you find some blinders.
Well, can't wait to have a look at stars tonight.
Yeah.
That's all for now, guys, but you can keep up to date by following us at CBJ News on Twitter and on Facebook.
We'll be back tomorrow with the latest news, sport and weather from our region, but now, have a good evening.
Till next time, goodbye.